Pacers are up 2-0 in this series, and they're just completely handling the Bucks. The Pacers look like a team. They know exactly who they are. They know their strengths and weaknesses. They know their opponent's strengths and weaknesses. They know how to exploit those. They know exactly what the plan is. They feel like a team that has an identity, whereas the Bucks just searching for answers defensively, especially. They tried zone in both of these games. They're getting at 1.14 points per play according to Synergy. Drop with Brook Lopez isn't working. Switching isn't working. Doc Rivers is saying after the game he's not changing the starting lineup, which is crazy to me when the best lineups around Giannis the whole year have been with the bench guys. AJ Green plays only 12 minutes in game 2. Kevin Porter Jr. plays only 15 minutes when he's played really well as of late. I just feel Doc has been completely pantsed by Rick Carlisle as a coach in this performance. And the players on the Pacers, I picked the Bucks to win the series in 7. I regret doing that. I picked them because I thought Giannis was playing this just elite, best player in the world level basketball, and I'm picking the best player in the series, but the Pacers are the better team, period. End of story. I have very little hope for the Bucks in this series, and I predict in a week from now we're going to be talking about what does this mean for the Bucks offseason. But in this series specifically, what have you seen that's been so impressive from the Pacers, Tom, and or what's been so disappointing from the Bucks?
I mean, they're playing Brook Lopez off the floor. The guy has had zero impact at the rim. Defensively, with Giannis and Brook Lopez on the floor, the Milwaukee Bucks are allowing 139 points every 100 possessions. 139. That's basically like an open fast break every time down the floor in terms of efficiency. Like, that's insane. And that's for 37 minutes in this series. They've had that two-man lineup, or at least that two big lineup on the floor. And Doc Rivers, as you said, he's getting pants out there. Like, can you play AJ Green? Can you play him so you can get some sort of floor spacing and some sort of shot finishing from the perimeter, where Giannis, he's got to play at the 5. They got to switch this up. And Doc Rivers, like, I've been kind of a Doc Rivers apologist with the blown 3-1 leads historically. And I kind of think that that's overblown because you got to win those 3 games in order to be embarrassed like that. I swear to you, I used to have that take.
Doc Rivers payroll? Like, that's what he says.
I mean, check the record, dude. I checked the record on this. Like, I have said this and now I feel really dumb about it, but it used to be that people would think that it's better to be swept than to blow a 3-1 lead. Like, I'm vehemently against that. Like, the idea that the way fans talk about, I'm not even going to do this rant anymore, but the point is Doc Rivers is getting embarrassed in this series. And part of me says
that we can agree on.
But seriously, fans would rather you get swept than losing a 3-1 series lead. That's insane to me. All right. Anyway, Kev, this series looks like Brook Lopez is aged, that he can't stay with the Indiana Pacers, and the up tempo and the rim protection has not been there. And I think this goes to just the Indiana Pacers are playing harder, and it might be a reflection of just this organization with the Chris Middleton trade. Everything that has happened with the blood clot from Damian Lillard, bringing him back. I just think this is a lost season. It's a lost season for the Bucks. I picked the Indiana Pacers in this series, and it might be a lot sooner than we expected. And Dame Lillard did as much as he could with zero ramp up in that recovery from his blood clot. I just don't think that the Milwaukee Bucks have enough. I'm surprised that they made an extension to Horst, the GM, already in the middle of this series, announced that they're going to extend their GM in this series, because I feel like there's a real sweep potential here.
Yeah, I think there's a real sweep potential too. Horst getting the extension now, just like right now, right now. It's just very strange to me why they made this decision right now to extend Horst after
what do you
all
think
the
that's about?
picks. I might just be about wanting a little bit of continuity. Maybe they trust him as the man, as the person, rather than some of the decisions that have been made. That might be part of it. Like, from what I understand, Horst, like, a lot of people do like John Horst, but the decisions have not been positive in the draft. He's had whiff after whiff after whiff after whiff. And granted, a lot of those are late first round picks. Those are hard picks to hit on. You got to hit. sometimes you got to hit on them. And when you don't hit, that's what forces you to make some tough trades and lose future picks and deplete your asset cupboard. And that's what I feel like the position that they're in right now, where, like, we'll see, we'll talk about future Bucks stuff next week, but Giannis should take a really strong evaluation here and say, is this really where I want to be?
That's where I think this is all about. I think that's what this extension is all about, is I think the ownership looked at John Horst and the trust that Giannis has with him and that relationship, and feel like if Giannis is backing this guy and if Giannis wants this guy to be the GM going forward, it doesn't matter if the transactions haven't been great. The whole goal is to keep Giannis happy. And if Horst does that for this organization, that's why you make that contract extension. I just don't understand doing this in the middle of the playoff series when you're getting embarrassed out on the floor. Maybe wait till the offseason. But this, to me, was very confusing, the way that they announced this, or at least came to a deal at the end of the regular season. I'm not saying John Horst is a bad dude or anything like that. I'm saying just transactionally, you look at the deals that have been gone.
What you're saying is he's not a bad dude, but he's a bad GM. That's what you're saying.
after the title, I will say after the title, there are not many positive moves on his ledger. If you're going to say that he is the GM and he is responsible for the decision-making and the roster and the player personnel, you can't argue that this has been a better alternative. And yes, there have been injuries with Chris Middleton and Giannis, but I really question the Kyle Kuzma trade. And that's a lot of assets that you're giving up around the championship core. And yes, we can say, dude put together a championship roster, but we can also say he deconstructed a championship roster too. And so both of those things can be true. And I'm surprised that they announced this in middle of the series, where Giannis is still great, but no one around him is playing nearly championship caliber. And Kyle Kuzma, I just don't get it. People have been backing Kyle Kuzma. He's like, I don't understand it. That was a crazy decision to acquire that guy to be your third piece. And I get it. Chris Middleton didn't look great, but I would rather have Chris Middleton on this team, even if he is 70%, and even if he can't be depended on going forward. The Kyle Kuzma trade just feels like a big swing and a miss.
I wonder how much of this between Horst and Doc Rivers and the roster is just this lack of connectivity with the plan, because you get Kuzma. I would expect you would have seen lineups with Giannis at the 5. Giannis at the 5 has not been out there in the postseason. It was barely out there at all during the regular season, even despite Bobby Portis being out. And I wonder if Horst made that move with the expectation that we'd see some of that, and Doc Rivers just hasn't done it, because Doc is stubborn. He likes to stick with his guns and do what works for him. We'll see if he changes the starting lineup before Game 3 tonight, but he says he's not gonna. We'll see. Through 2 games, you mentioned it earlier, Tom. Horrible defensive rating with Brook Giannis front courts out there. They have a -32 net rating in the minutes with Giannis and Brook out there together. They have an even net rating in the 40 minutes when it's Bobby Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Even. Like, they have not been
to Doc,
bad.
Earth to Doc. Yes. Like, hello.
Come on. It's not a Brook Lopez series. You're going to get swept. It's not a Brook series. It's a Bobby Portis series. And maybe also it's a Giannis at the 5 series with Kyle Kuzma at the 4 and shooters flanking them. Maybe that's what it is. And we have not seen it at all through 2 games. We barely saw it all season long, even though this is what I thought we would see when they got Kyle Kuzma, because it would give them that ability to have another big forward, versatile, switchable guy next to Giannis in the front court. We didn't see it. And, it's crazy. Like, this week was the 08 Celtics episode of Celtic City. Did you watch that, Tom? Did you watch the series at all? Well, so it's the 08 Celtics episode, and Doc Rivers is heavily featured in that one. So you get to see Doc from when he was hired as head coach. The Celtics targeted him. They wanted Doc. Danny Ainge wanted him. You see him through the early Pierce era with the Band-Aid around his face in the Pacers series. You see all that, and then you see the way he built that culture with the 08 Celtics team and how the players really credit him for getting them to buy in together. That Doc Rivers does not exist anymore. He is not the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. That is a different Doc Rivers. And seeing that guy on screen there, the level of buy-in and investment, he had a quote in the doc where he's like, no pun intended, where he says, throughout, my life, I used to go to bed. My dream is to be in the NBA. My dream is to be an all-star. My dream is to win a championship. And he's like, I finished my playing career and the one dream left was to win a championship. And he's like, I still said that to myself before going to bed every night. And I wonder, when he won that championship, did things just, is that it? Like, did he just stop putting in the same level of care and effort that I felt that he did with some of those early Celtics teams? I know he got a lot of criticism, especially from Bill Simmons back in the mid 2000s in the Page 2 era, but I like Doc personally in the mid 2000s. I like Doc in 08, but I felt like in the early 2010s and then with the Clippers and then with the Sixers and now with the Bucks, it's just been the same old story over and over and over. And I don't feel like he's that same guy he was pre-title.
He was begging ownership not to hire him. I think he was telling the Milwaukee Bucks,
he wanted to golf. He wanted to golf.
When Doc Rivers is telling you, please don't hire me, I don't know why you're doing it. And doing this publicly, he made a public campaign to convince the ownership not to hire him away from ESPN, and they still hired him. Maybe that was a sign that this might not work out. Yeah. And he hasn't done the things. Like, this is when getting Doc Rivers is supposed to come through, is in the postseason. You get these guys to rally and get them to play hard. You hold them accountable. You play lockdown defense, and none of that is happening. It's a big game 3 coming up for this not just Doc Rivers, but I think this whole entire organization. We're on the doorstep of a sweep if the Milwaukee Bucks do not come out big in game 3.
Yeah, they have to win game 3.